15 days since I started playing Sekiro, 47 hours and 48 minutes later, I've beaten the game, achieving the true ending and having missed only one optional boss that I know of. In this video I want to talk about my experience, the ups and downs, and my final thoughts on the game. I don't want to give away any spoilers because the game just came out like 2 weeks ago, so this is going to be more like a podcast style video with some trailers on loop. Overall thoughts. I really enjoyed the game, and like how I almost gave up Monster Hunter when I first started playing it and I didn't get it, I'm happy that I stuck through it all. It was a thrilling game experience, one that has given me some of my top frustrated moments ever, and some of my favorite accomplishments as well. Lengthwise, it actually felt pretty juicy to me. Perhaps that's because you die a lot and there's a lot of trial and error, but it kind of felt sort of like the same length as Bloodborne did, if that's any reference for you. The story itself I thought was serviceable. I really like the Japanese voice acting in particular for this game, so I went with that as the audio and the English as subtitles, so shout out to From Software for having that option. The English voices I just really wasn't feeling, plus this material kind of begs for Japanese language to be used anyways. I won't give away any story spoilers, but let's just say that this is definitely a From Software game. Like their other games, if you don't mind spoilers, there's a lot of hidden stuff in this game to find. Lots of optional bosses, some really cool side quests with some very interesting rewards. I used online guides, and overall I'm very happy that I did, otherwise I feel I would have missed a lot. Overall, I really liked it. The game is great. Super difficult until you can understand the rhythm of the gameplay and the right approach, but satisfyingly difficult afterwards, at least for me. If you like From Software games, you may already have this or you're planning on getting it, but if not, it might be worth considering, but just make sure you dedicate time to understand how to play the game, and do be prepared to die for several hours in a row on some bosses. Just know that all the experience that you get through those failures will definitely become your strength as you go on, because they did a very good job of designing these walls in the game to make you master one of the core components in the game's combat, so consider it kind of a boot camp preparing you for what's next. The game has a way that it wants to be played though, so if the idea of blocking and even parrying attacks here and there really turns you off, then you might not like the game. That being said, once you approach it by standing your ground and using the guard button to learn the rhythm of the attacks and then discover after which sequence you can punish the enemy, the game does get a lot easier. They did a good job of keeping the actual mechanics of the game quite simple, and once you approach it this way, you'll realize how forgiving it can be as well. And what I mean is that your guard is like on the second that you press the button. It even warns you when an unblockable attack is coming, and even if your posture is broken from guarding, just roll evade and you're fine. You know, there is some reason why players are calling this kind of like a rhythm game, because enemies attack in verses, and your job is to know when those start and end. Epic Name Bro put it really well when he was tweeting about the game and said, if you feel that this game requires really quick reactions, it's because you don't understand the game. And indeed, I applied this principle when I was playing and I found great success. If I found myself saying, look, I know what to do, but the timing is just way too severe, then I was probably going around it the wrong way or even the hard way. A little change of approach and usually I was able to get it after some practice. All this being said though, the game is really difficult overall, and that is where the satisfaction comes from. The difficulty debate. There's been a lot of debate online concerning the difficulty of the game and if it should have an easy mode added to it or not. First off, let's not mix this conversation up with accessibility features, which are more for disabled gamers and are always a good thing. For those who passionately stand against the idea of an easy mode, this is where they're coming from. This game is the vision of the developer, so demanding they add an easy option is kind of ridiculous because you're telling the artist what to make. The main theme From Software here is trying to achieve is to give the player a sense of thrill for overcoming something that seemed impossible. To this extent, an easy mode would not only make it so that the game is not being played as intended, but it also goes against the core design philosophy of the game itself, which is its difficulty. But that's the thing. With no options, they only have one model player in mind to judge what is doable and what is not, what is difficult and what is impossible. I think From Software did a fantastic job here of figuring out what the average gamer can achieve and really pushing them to their limits. But what about the other half of gamers who have issues with things that the average person may not find so hard? To them, the difficulty in this game could just make it flat out unplayable, and that's not good. The more people who can enjoy a game, the better. The game already includes options that make it more challenging and difficult for those who want it, so I think having the flip side would be a nice thing as well. After all, difficulty sliders in a single player game affects no one but the player and what they get out of the product. For me personally, I actually shed tears after beating the last boss. My hands were shaking, and I think it's a moment I'll treasure for the rest of my gaming career. I'm thankful for the moment, and I do think that I may have been seduced by the option of an easier mode and would have missed out on this experience had it been there. But of course, if that was the case, it would be on me and not the game. I think most players do not have the time and patience to get over the hump like I eventually did. The game desperately wants you to because it's trying to curate almost a life experience for you to have, but the fact of the matter is that most people will simply opt not to continue, or worse yet, decide not to pick up the game at all. Most of the players vocal against the idea of an easy mode would largely ignore such an option anyways and would be fine. Sure, some people would take the easier route and miss out on the what could have been future of them overcoming the game, but imagine how many more people could enjoy the product. Like I said earlier, difficulty is really subjective and it depends on the person, so for them having a slightly easier mode could actually make them have the same experiences I got from the normal difficulty. And even if it was a watered down version, I think it would still be fun to play, and it would be nice if everybody could see the amazing levels and boss designs that they created. It's definitely an interesting debate, and in the end I think more options is usually a good thing as long as it's implemented correctly and people know the intended way to experience the game. Anyways, those are my closing thoughts on Sekiro. Thank you for being along with me on this journey. I'm very happy I stuck it out, but I do recognize that not everybody will be willing to or able to do the same. If you are though, I think you're in for one heck of a ride. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time... Oh, you're dead. You were supposed to jump over that one, silly. Happy dying.